I feel the Spirit moving in me. I feel the Spirit moving in me.
Aloha, welcome to Unity Church of Maui Sunday service. Some time ago, Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson go camping. Can you imagine? And they have a nice dinner and they enjoy a bottle of wine. And after all that, they lay down in their tent and go to sleep. Some hours later, Holmes awoke and nudged his faithful friend. And he says, "Watson, look up at the sky and tell me what you see." Watson replied, "I see millions of stars." "What does that tell you?" Watson pondered for a moment, and then he said, "Astronomically, it tells me there are millions of galaxies and potentially billions of planets. Astrologically, I see that Saturn is in Leo. Time-wise, I deduce that the time is approximately 2:45. Theologically, I can see that God is all-powerful and that often God nudges us to keep us on course. Weather-wise, I suspect that we're going to have a beautiful day tomorrow. What does it tell you, Holmes?" Holmes was silent for a moment, and then he spoke. "Watson, you idiot! Someone has stolen our tent!" I love that. Well, let's begin with a meditation today. I invite you to close your eyes and bring your attention to your breath. And let's just allow ourselves this moment to get focused and centered. And as you breathe, relax. Breathing in gently and slowly. And exhaling in the same manner. And just relaxing into this moment. And imagine that we are spinning around on this beautiful planet out in space. And that there are millions of planets and galaxies around us. And we can see the light of all of the stars shining brightly. And imagine that we can feel the essence and the beingness of God, of Spirit that exists in the universe. Feeling this energy drawing us, pulling on us. Experiencing its love with us. And we one with the universe. Alive, free, empowered, one with all life, one with the universe. And imagine that the universe is nudging you with truth, that the presence of God in this moment is inspiring you, pulling you to be all that you can be. And just rest for a moment in this idea. Breathing in and out. And let's allow ourselves to return to this moment, to be present here right now. Sharing the gift of life, one with all life. One with the call of the universe. The universe is calling. Will we answer? And I invite you to open your eyes and bring your awareness back to this moment. I had a great story that I was intended to tell you at the beginning of this talk. And it was about Alexander Fleming. You might remember that Alexander Fleming was a scientist who created penicillin. And as I was preparing for this talk, and I decided to research the story that I'd heard many times, and I discovered that this story wasn't true, that it was a rumor, a magnificent story, that supposedly Alexander Fleming saved the young Winston Churchill's life. And Winston Churchill's father then paid for Fleming's education. A great story, and unfortunately not true. And so I felt a little bit disappointed because I really liked the story and wanted to share it with you. And so I thought, okay, well, what can I do now? How can I begin this talk? And so I went into meditation, and in that meditation, it's almost as soon as I closed my eyes, I felt this nudge of spirit, like saying to me, well, go check out Eric Butterworth's book, The Universe is Calling. And after all, that is the book that this talk is based around. And so I looked over at my bookshelf, and I got the book out, and I read through it, and I was inspired to lead the meditation based on some of Eric Butterworth's words in his book. But I just thought it was so interesting that I felt this nudge, first of all, not to share the Alexander Fleming story, but to share this meditation and to begin my talk this way. And I really believe that that's true, and felt so inspired, and I wanted to share this talk with you today because it's really about listening to this nudge of spirit. Squire Rushnell, in his book, God Winks, said, "You are under the influence of a cosmic guidance system, and every day you receive little nudges to keep you on your chosen path." And it's like, wow, isn't that true? If we can really tune ourselves in and listen, then we can capture these nudges that are always there, pulling us and pushing us towards a full expression and experience of ourselves. The universe is calling. Will we listen? The spirit of the universe communicates to us through the still small voice, as it's often called. And to me, those are nudges that we experience that can help to guide us in our day-to-day life. So how do we fine-tune our consciousness so that we are aware of these nudges when they're happening? And I believe that the way that we do that is through prayer and meditation. Eric Butterworth said that we are an eachness and in the allness of God. So we are a part of this universal energy. We are a thought in this universal consciousness. And we have access to this consciousness if we can really turn within and listen to that still small voice, to listen to those nudges, and really to open ourselves up so that we can be present and hear them. We can develop our spiritual ability to listen to these nudges in the same way that we might build up our body or our strength so that we can perform activities, so that we can dance, so that we can ride a bike. It's connecting with spirit and listening to these nudges as really as simple as riding a bike. It's really about listening and being present and being open to how spirit wants to experience itself as us. Prayer and meditation are the best techniques that we can use to sharpen our awareness, to sharpen our consciousness so that we can be aware when the universe is calling. So really, prayer and meditation are the most highly accelerated actions known to get us in touch with our higher self, with the Christ self, with the universe. Rumi wrote, "You were born with potential. You were born with goodness and trust. You were born with ideas and dreams. You were born with greatness. You were born with wings. You were not meant for crawling, so don't. You have wings. Use them and fly." Don't you just love that? Emerson wrote, "Prayer is the contemplation of the facts of life from the highest point of view." Putting it a little bit differently, prayer changes our attitude so that we can rise to a higher altitude. Prayer lifts our consciousness to a higher awareness, and our attitude determines our altitude. In the book, The Universe is Calling, Eric Butterworth wrote, It is turning our focus of our consciousness away from the problem to our center of being, and giving way to the creative flow which will stream forth from within our innermost self. There is a power in me greater than, there's a power within me that is stronger than the condition before me. I love that. It's like just saying this affirmation reminds me of this inner truth that's in me and in you. And let's say it together. There is a power within me that is stronger than the condition before me. So many times we think that there are insurmountable objects and events that we have to move through in our lives, and we forget that we have access to this truth and to this power that's within us if we listen and respond to the nudges of spirit. Human beings are praying people. We've been praying probably as long as we've been on this planet. Prayer comes natural to us. The Buddhist uses a prayer wheel. A Tibetan ties a prayer flag to a tree. Whirling dervishes spin. Native Americans use prayer bags. And the American farmer puts a horseshoe over the barn for good luck. Each of them is really desiring to connect with the universe, to connect with the universal presence, and to be the most powerful that they can be. I know when I was raised, and maybe you were too, I always thought that we prayed to God and to please God. But I understand now that prayer and meditation are not something that we do for God, but rather we do it to uncover the presence of God within ourselves, to reveal to ourselves our true nature, our spiritual nature, to be connected to the divine power that's within us. Prayer and meditation are not practices that we do for God. Or they're not ceremonies that we do for God. Prayer and meditation are practices that we do to ourselves to open ourselves to the nudges of spirit. They're practices that we use to help to identify the truth and to shift our thinking. To me, any kind of healing is a change in perception. So what I've discovered is that the times when the healing comes to me is when I have a change in perception, because I've been able to go within and to listen to that still small voice, and to say, what is it that I need to know? And then just like finding this book and a different way to open this talk, you will be encouraged by the presence of God within you to divine ideas. You know, it seems to me that this prayer consciousness develops the more I realize that it's not my will that's important, but it is my willingness to experience the fullness of Spirit. In the same way, we don't pray to God. Rather, the objective should be to pray from a consciousness of God. You know, prayer is not conditioning God with our needs, but rather conditioning our lives with the activity of God. Isn't that great? I love that. Prayer is not conditioning God with our needs, but it's conditioning our lives with the activity of God. It's helping us to find in our lives the truth and to shift the way that we are thinking to experience more of the presence and the power of God in every moment. Jesus said, "You will know the truth, and the truth will make you free." Well, why is that? It's because we can listen, we can discern what's going on, and then listen to what is really happening. What is the truth in any moment? And how can we shift our thinking to experience the fullness of this moment? You know, the Course in Miracles says that a miracle is a shift in perception. It's the incorporation of a larger idea into this moment, which opens us up for a new way of perceiving and a new experience and a new way of being, perhaps in an ongoing or older situation. The universe, or the presence of God, desires to experience life as you and as me, as us. And the universe is always presenting us with opportunities to rise up a little higher, to experience the fullness of who we are. It's almost like in the same way that the sun pulls on flowers, and many flowers will turn and face the sun. That divine presence in the universe is pulling on us, opening us up to experience our fullness. The universe is calling each one of us to wholeness. And our job is to, as human beings or as spiritual beings having a physical experience, is to tap into this ability and open ourselves up and listen to the nudges of Spirit. So the universe is calling you. Will you answer? The universe is pulling you forward, offering you the opportunity to experience your life, your spiritual life in this human body in the best way, in the highest way possible. Will you listen? Will you answer the call? Attuned to divine mind, I listen to the nudging of Spirit and grow in spiritual understanding. Let's say that together. Attuned to divine mind, together. Attuned to divine mind, I listen to the nudging of Spirit. I listen to the nudging of Spirit and grow in spiritual understanding. So may prayer reveal to you what a wonderful and awesome expression of God that you are. May you truly know your power. May you truly light the light of love within you and experience it in the fullness in your life. And may you be the presence of God in everything you think, say, and do. I'd like to end by reading to you a poem by Lynn. She writes, Spirit has found great voice in you. Spirit has found revelation through you in resonant and reflective ways. Spirit has found celebration through you in infinite expanses and endless reach. To all those awakened to the grace of your gifts, Spirit has found both wings and light. And let's just take a moment together and just be in this moment giving thanks for the gift of life, for the gift of being here on this amazing, beautiful planet, and to be perfect expressions of God in everything that we do. Giving thanks for this beingness, for this aliveness, for this divine energy that lifts us up and nudges us into the highest expression of our true selves. And so it is. Amen. Well, I invite you now to prepare your love offerings, and I'd like to thank you ahead of time for your gifts and your contributions to Unity Church of Maui. It is your gifts that allow us to do this wonderful work that we do. And I'm so appreciative to be with you in this community, even in this challenging time where we have to do ministry in a totally different way, an expanding way in so many ways. So as you prepare your gift and hold it as a thought in your mind or as paper in your hands, let's affirm and pray together our affirmation of prosperity, which begins, through a grateful, giving heart, my mind and life overflow with the abundance of God's all-providing, infinite supply. Thank you for your gifts. I know that as you give to our ministry, that you are a part of the work that we do, and that we are all working together to create happiness, to bring love and light to this planet. So God bless you. And you can donate to us in the old-fashioned way by writing a check to Unity Church of Maui, 483 South High Street in Wailuku. And you can also go to our website, www.unityonmaui.org, and donate there as well. And it's a very safe way to donate. And thank you for your gifts. I've got just a couple announcements today. My talk next week is titled, The Sky is Falling. The Sky is Falling. For many of us, this is an exceedingly challenging time in history. We're dealing with many complicated factors, including the coronavirus and climate change and racism and poverty and polarized political views and even an unstable economy. You know, it can sometimes feel, and maybe it does feel, like our planet is spinning out of control. And there are many people running around, and you probably know a few of them, chanting Chicken Little's famous phrase, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. And to hear their rants, one would suppose that the fable of Chicken Little was about to become true, and that the sky is actually falling. You know, the moral of this story is to have spiritual courage even when it feels like the sky is falling. So in next week's talk, I will pinpoint some techniques that we can use to develop spiritual courage in order to find peace in this historic and transformative time. So that'll be happening right here, same time next week. And I hope you'll join us after the service today for our Zoom call. And the links to that are in our newsletter or on our webpage. And you can also join me for meditation on Wednesday at noon Hawaii time, where I'll read the daily word and we'll spend some time in meditation together. A great way to connect during the week. And if you enjoy our services, you can always go to our Unity Church of Maui YouTube page, where you'll find an abundance of Sunday messages and some really great music. And so I think that's it for today. Thank you for being here. I love you, I bless you, and I appreciate you, and I behold the Christ in you. And so as a way of being together and ending today, why don't we pray together the prayer for protection, which begins, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is. God bless you, my friend. Mahalo and aloha.
Where I live, there are rain.